Hiya, welcome back to In the Kitchen with Tabby. Guys, I found a onion smothered chicken on mediterraneandish.com that is absolutely amazing. It was her Uncle Sammy's recipe. I did alter it just a little bit, not a lot, but just a little. Made just a couple of tweaks to it, but I'm telling you right now, it is gonna remind you of the best French onion soup you've ever had. So if you love onions, you've gotta try this recipe. Let's have some fun and let's get cooking. All right, so we're gonna get our sweet potatoes going first. Now I have already peeled them and I've cut them up into kind of like big fries, I guess, maybe like a steak fry kind of thing. So I'm gonna put those in my bowl. And this is just our sweet potato bites recipe. I'm just cooking them in a different size or a different shape, cooking them in a different shape. We're gonna put some olive oil on top and some paprika. And that's to taste. You can go as light or as heavy as you want. Then I'm going to use my little spatula and get these all worked around in here. So I'm cooking them a little bit different this time also. I'm putting them on this wire rack in my baking sheet to keep them up off of the baking sheet so that I'm hoping maybe they might crisp up a little bit more. We'll see. I think that will work though, or at least it will help. Not that there's a thing wrong with making them the way I made them before. All right, that looks good. Those are all nicely coated. So we're going to put those out on this baking rack. And I have it lined with aluminum foil just to catch any of the oil that might come off. And this was just 2 large sweet potatoes. I'm going to hang on to this bowl because I'm going to throw my chicken in it here in just a second. Just use that same bowl. It's not going to hurt it at all with the oil and paprika in there. We're just spreading these out so that they're in a single layer. You don't want them on top of each other. All right, that looks really good. I'm going to sprinkle my salt on top now. And then we will get these in the oven and then we will get started on the chicken. So I'm putting this in the 400-degree oven.
What do we make?
You want to know what we're making?
Yeah.
We're making you some sweet potato bites. But we're doing them. I know it's your favorite. I make them often because I can ask him what vegetable he wants and he says
Sweet potato bites.
he loves the sweet potato bites. So I'm doing them in a different shape this time.
Okay.
I'm doing them in kind of a wedge and I'm picking them up off of the pan so that maybe they'll get a little bit crispy. So that
Sounds heavenly.
Yeah, I
Can't
think
wait.
they're going to be good. Say hi. All right, let's get these in the oven. Set our timer for 30 minutes on that. All right, let's get going on the chicken. This might be one of the easiest recipes you will ever find. So we've got 3 onions, and I'm just going to cut these into rounds, and you want them to be about a ½ an inch or so thick. So on the thick side, you don't want them too thin. Now if you don't like onions, we can still be friends. But you're probably not going to like this recipe. So if you don't like onions, you'll just have to skip this recipe. If you do like onions, not only can we be friends, but you're going to really like this recipe. And these are sweet onions also. I would say 3 medium-sized sweet white onions. All right, that's all of them. So I'm going to break these apart here so that they are in the rounds. Before I start trying to put them in the hot pan, I'm going to go ahead and separate them here. It looks like a lot of onion, but it cooks down, so it's really not that much. prep on this is pretty quick and easy. Do you guys like onion rings? Have you ever made onion rings, like fried onion rings? I have a recipe for them. I've never made them, but I have a recipe for them. I think I'm gonna try them. If you want me to make the recipe for onion rings, let me know in the comments. I wanna know if you guys would like to see a video on that. I love onion rings in the restaurant, so I think I would like them. All right, my onions are all ready. Got those all separated and ready to go. I did go ahead and open up my chicken, and I'm using chicken breast cutlets, like little, not small strips, but strips of chicken breast. The recipe actually says you can use thighs as well, boneless, skinless thighs, but I just opted to do the breast this time. And I'm just put it in that same bowl with that residual olive oil, and I'm just gonna put just a little bit of paprika on there. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of kosher salt. And I'm just gonna kind of spread that around in there to coat those chicken pieces. There's gonna be so much flavor from the onions. You don't really need to put much seasoning on here at all. So the chicken is ready. My pan, you can see here, my iron skillet, that's getting hot. I put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in the bottom of it. Yeah, it's getting nice and hot. You want it on about medium-high heat, so I have it on 6.5 on my stove. Okay, feels about right, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw my onions in. Oh yeah, a little sizzle. And like I said, this is gonna look like a whole lot of onion going in here, but they cook down, so it's not gonna be as much as it looks. And you're gonna cook these for probably 10 minutes or so, just kind of stirring them around. Okay, so we're gonna cook these for about 10 minutes. We're just gonna kind of stir them around occasionally. You don't want them to get burned or super brown. You just want them to be really nice and soft and caramelized. And since they're sweet onions, they're gonna release some juices in there. It's, you know, mixed with that olive oil, and it's gonna caramelize really nicely. All right, we're gonna put some kosher salt on these onions. And there's not much seasoning going on here, so don't be stingy with the salt. You can always add a little bit more later if you need to. You want to make sure you kind of manage your heat. I still have it on 6.5, but you want to kind of manage it and watch it close so that they don't burn. If you need to reduce it a little bit, you can. Sometimes these iron skillets will just continue to get hot, so you just want to make sure that you're not cooking them too fast or burning them. You just want them releasing those juices nice and slowly. And it like I said, it could take 10 to 15 minutes even for them to reach that point where they're just really nice and caramelized. There's just something about cooking in an iron skillet. Just makes everything feel better, doesn't it? Old-fashioned and vintage. Just feels like it should taste better with all that seasoning in the bottom of that pan. And by seasoning, I mean, you know, over time as it seasons itself. Each time you use it. It's been about 5 minutes. And they're just starting to soften up a little bit. I can see them softening up just a little bit here. And I still have my heat on 6.5. As long as they look like they're softening well and they're not cooking too fast, I'll keep that heat right where it's at. I'm gonna take what's left of my Amish white bread that I made last week. I have just a little piece about that big. I'm gonna cut that in half and make a real nice thick piece of toast with it. Put some butter and a little bit of garlic powder on top. and serve that with this and the sweet potatoes and the chicken. I think that's gonna be really good. We're at about the 8-minute mark now. And you can see how these are really starting to soften up. I'm seeing just a slight bit of golden color starting to show up here. So I think it's probably gonna take the full 15 minutes. I'd rather cook them low and slow than to cook them too fast and risk them burning. So I'm happy with how they look here. I've been wanting to make this for a while, so I'm really excited to give it a try. We really like onions. And I think I've told you before, one of my favorite memories when I was little was when my mom would fry onions in butter. And the smell of that, it just smelled so good. Of course, I'm not using butter here. You probably could throw a little butter in here if you wanted, though. You know what? I think I'm going to. Let's do it. Let's live a little dangerously. Just a nice thick pat. Probably a tablespoon or so. I think that's going to add some good flavor. Now it's going to smell like my mama's kitchen. Can you see there where that one's starting to get a little brown? So you can, oh, there's one, some color on it right there. Yep. And we are right at the 10-minute mark. They're really softening up nice too. My pan handle's getting warm, so I'm gonna put my oven mitt on. I need one of those little handle mitts for this skillet. I don't have one. Need to get one. I could probably sew one up if I had the time. Ooh, golly, those are smelling good. And I do have just a little bit of chicken broth here. This is not mine. I had to use some store-bought because I don't have any chicken stock right now. But we are going to put that in just a little bit. So just some, about a quarter of a cup maybe of chicken broth there. Okay, this is the 12-minute mark. Definitely going to go the full 15. But I've not adjusted the temperature on my stove. I've kept it at the 6.5. Hope you guys are having a great day. It's been really beautiful here in southern Indiana. Sunny and a little breezy, but not too bad, but it's just a beautiful day. All right, this looks like it's about where I want it to be. You could let these get more brown if you want, a little more golden, but this is just right about where I want it. So we're gonna make a little well there in the middle. And I'm gonna go ahead and add my chicken to the center. And we're gonna brown these pieces of chicken on both sides. There we go. Let's check that first one. Oh yeah. Doesn't take too long to sear them. That pan's nice and warm. So once we get them all seared on both sides, then we'll put our chicken broth in there. One more. Now we're going to take some of those onions and put them on top of the chicken. Just like that. And that's going to give the chicken a little more room in the pan too. We're going to let that cook on the second side for about 3 minutes, and then we're going to add the chicken stock. Now before I put the chicken broth in, I'm going to take a little bit of maple syrup And since we're going to use that on the sweet potatoes, I'm going to put just a little bit over the top of this chicken. Just about 2 tablespoons, not a lot. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put my chicken broth in. And now we are going to cover this with some foil. And if your skillet has a lid, you can cover it with the lid, but I'm going to put some foil over mine. I'm going to turn the heat down to about 5. We are going to let that cook for about 25 to 30 minutes. And when that's done, I'll come back and we'll put it all together. I'll be right back. All right, guys, timer went off. Time for the reveal. Ooh, that looks really good. Look at that. It smells so good. All right, let's get some of that plated up and we'll give it a try. Make sure you get some of those onions on top. All right. So the sweet potatoes came out perfect. They are not crunchy. And I think I've just come to the conclusion that sweet potatoes are just not meant to be crunchy. You know me, I like my toast well done, I like my cookies crunchy. So I'm always trying to make things crunchy. All right, I got a phone call, so I'm not sure where I was. But anyway, they cooked beautifully, the sweet potatoes, and they're delicious. They're really good. They're just not crunchy, but that's okay. All right, so got a little piece of bread here on the side, and there's our dinner. Let's give it a taste. I know the sweet potatoes are good. Let's check the chicken. Oh, wow, that's cooked perfectly and it's tender. Yep, I think that's gonna be really good. Look at that. Mmm. Mmm. Okay, I encourage you, even if you don't like onions, give this a try. The flavor is absolutely delicious. And I'll tell you, adding just that little tiny bit of maple syrup really gave it another level of flavor. The chicken is very tender. It's not dry at all, and tons of flavor. The onions they're there, but they're not like in your face there, you know? Kind of reminds me a little bit of a French onion, maybe, like a French onion soup or something. It's delicious though. I think you guys are really gonna like it. I encourage you to give it a try. So there you go. That's what's for dinner in the kitchen with Tabby today. I hope you guys love it as much as I do. So what do I need you to do? You already know. I need you to spread this around like some good butter, guys, just like I did on my bread. Make sure that everybody knows around you and the people that you love most how fun it is to get in the kitchen with Tabby and make something and have some fun. I sure love having you in my kitchen. I love spending time with you, and I appreciate you letting me into your home. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you like and comment. That helps me a lot. And then also, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell. You get a lot more stuff to do when you're watching on YouTube. But yeah, so make sure you never miss a video. I don't want you guys to ever miss out on a recipe. Be sure to check out my website, www.inthekitchenwithtabby.com. I got my website done, so make sure you check that out. And yeah, I think that's it. Okay, remember guys, Christ is the unseen guest at every dinner table, and he is the silent listener at every conversation. So just like I always say, make sure those words coming out of your mouth are uplifting and edifying and building each other up, shining our light and spreading love, because that's what we're called to do. Remember, I love you, but God loves you even more. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.